If you're going to make dreams come true for would-be parents who are almost out of hope, you'd better get it right. When you don't, that's where my next guest comes in. Ashlie Case Sletvold represents families victimized by mix-ups and other problems at fertility clinics. Families like the Harveys, who found out 30 years after becoming parents that their daughter's biological dad is somebody else completely. Welcome, Ashlie. Great name, by the way. Nice to have you with me tonight. This is just such a distressing story because your client, Jessica, just wanted to go on vacation to Italy and maybe meet up with some of the old family relatives. And instead, she discovered the relative that you think is in your own family isn't. Your dad is actually a stranger. I mean, that's very, very depressing. So other than that fact pattern, what happened next? Like, what was the next step for the Harveys?
Well, when Jessica's original Ancestry.com results came back, there was just this sense of disbelief and obviously a desire to ask more questions. And so they started digging. They took another test with a different company, thinking perhaps maybe hoping there'd been an error of some kind. And then they went and took a paternity test with an independent lab and confirmed that Jessica does not have any biological relation to the man who raised her. At that point, the digging sort of begins in terms of looking through the results from these tests for distant relatives, for your closest, second cousins, third cousins, to try to narrow down who might be the candidates for finding out who her biological father was.
And so strange. I'm looking at the pictures. Actually, I honestly look at the pictures and she looks like her. She looks like the dad who raised her. It's always odd when I see that, knowing now that he's not her biological father and nobody knew, the better of it. I want to play something about from John Harvey, the dad who raised her, because a lot of this is, emotional. Obviously, that's got to be just bizarre to go through this experience and brutal. But then there's also another part of this I didn't really think about. And it's all about what you've actually passed down to your children, thinking you have actually passed down something to your children. So let me let John Harvey explain it. I'll ask you on the other side.
My mothers and sisters, they were healthy, lived to 99, 97, 95 years of age. And we have no history of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, or anything else in our family genes. And we wanted to provide that for Jessica. I was glad to be able to share that with their daughter. But now all the things are different.
I mean, I'd never really even considered just how intense that must be, realizing. You saw Mrs. Harvey on the right wiping her eyes. Part of the suit that you've launched, Ashlie, is battery, which I thought, oh, that's interesting. And as I read it, it makes perfect sense. It says, Mrs. Harvey did not consent and would not have consented to defendants placing a stranger's genetic material in her body. So what do you think the odds are of prevailing in the suit? And what is it that Jessica and her parents want out of the suit?
Well, lawsuits can never take us back to before the person was harmed. There's no way to do that. But lawsuits can bring accountability. They can shed a spotlight on systemic problems. And as I've seen time and again, they can help people to heal through the exercise of seeking some measure of justice. It never ceases to amaze me, the strength and resilience of people who've had the shock of their lifetimes and come out on the other side, feeling like they've really done something to help others avoid the same pain that they've experienced.
So on the other side of the coin, for some people who, maybe don't go the legal route and they're, broken over this, Jessica has a sort of an interesting, shall I say, added benefit from what happened. I don't know if I can say it that way. Let me let her say it. This is how she refers to the first real connection that she ever made with this random man who ended up being her father. Have a look at this.
We began to text. And once I started getting into some long texts, he decided to just call me. So he answered the phone, and that's when he admitted to me that he was at this clinic at the same day as my parents. And I blurted out on the phone, I said, I don't want to surprise you, but I think you might be my biological father. And his exact words were, I'm not scared. This is great news. I've gone my entire life thinking I have no children, and this is great news. I have a daughter. He's been absolutely supportive. He's helped me with any questions I've had. He's already given me some of the medical history on his side of the family to make me feel more comfortable about my new sense of life. He's been more than helpful.
Wow. Ashleigh, how is Jessica doing? I'm not sure how much time has lapsed since, she recounted that to today. How is she doing forging this new relationship with real dad who's never had a child? And how rare is this sort of development?
Well, this whole situation should be much more rare than it is. And I think her biological father's reaction to this call kind of underscores the pain that can come from errors in the fertility industry. I mean, when he and his wife went to that same clinic, they were trying to have their own biological child, and things didn't go the way they expected either. Who knows what would have happened had the clinic used his sample as he had intended. It really highlights how physicians hold people's lives and happiness in their hands. And it's always good when folks can make the best of a bad situation, but that doesn't take the bad situation away.
It's an incredible story. Ashlie Case Sletvold, thank you very much for being on and sharing this with us. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.